Like and subscribe if you're interested in truth. And yes, I am a black man. Understand this. It is a silent mind that hears everything. It is a silent mind that understands what it hears. What your eyes do is acknowledge what is before you. It is your hearing that understands when it is not clouded with emotionality and past biases, which are usually the result of conditioned behavior. Or you may call them past nuances that are unapplicable when you are listening. Listening is not a multitasking event. You cannot listen and multitask at the same time. Listening requires total attention and focus. And the result of when you listen is understanding. You do not listen to form an opinion, you listen to understand. Listening is a singular event that exists in the moment. It is a singular event that exists in the moment that requires understanding. When you listen, you do not form a conclusion. Listening is not about forming a conclusion. It is about understanding what is being said at that moment. Oftentimes, you will find yourself talking to a person who is doing something, and you will ask them, "Did you hear me?" They will reply, "Yes, I heard you." But the question is, did they understand you? Listening is not hearing, it is understanding what is being told. Your eyes are for acknowledging. Your ears and listening is for understanding. There are two impediments to hearing. One is if the person is busy. The second is whether or not the person has biases. To listen, one must have a silent mind. To understand, one must have a silent mind free of biases. Now let's discuss the different types of listeners. The first type of so-called listener is the person who is not paying any attention to what you are saying. That person will try to over talk you. What you are saying is not important important to them. They never listen. So that is one type of listener, the person who does not listen. The second type of listener is sensitive listeners. They do not hear. If you tell them the truth, they take it personally. They are personal listeners. They take everything personal. And when they take things personal, it is because they are not listening. They hear one word and they project what they think you are going to say. And oftentimes, when you tell them you're not listening to me, they will say, I know what you're going to say. And if you ask them, what was I going to say? They're going to get it wrong. And if you question them, they are going to stop listening to you altogether. They are sensitive. They don't want to be hurt. So they not listening or paying attention is how they put up their defensive wall. Thirdly, you have your people who pretend to listen so that they can respond. You have the people who listen so that they can respond. They consider themselves the intellectual listener. They do not hear what you say because they are holding a thought in their mind and they are waiting for you to stop speaking. They, in other words, you do not have their attention. They think that they are giving you their attention by waiting on you to complete what you have to say. All they want to do is get what you have to say out of their way. In essence, this type of listener has reached a conclusion. So nothing you say is going to matter. They've reached their conclusion and they're just simply waiting on you to get out of the way. They're not listening to what you have to say. Next, you have the courteous listener, the courteous listener. They're courteous. They're trying to be polite. They understand how to hold a conversation. You let the person speak, and then you speak. But what they fail to understand is that the reason why you let the person speak is so that you can hear and understand what they are saying. This person is egotistical because they are simply acting, pretending to hear. Now, if you have heard me speak and listen to my videos, I will say, understand this. I do not say, listen to this. I say, understand this, because it requires listening without bias. We must listen without bias. It is only a quiet mind that can hear. Listening is multitasking because you're really not paying attention. Understanding is the undercurrent of listening. Understanding is listening. When people speak to you and they are active in their facial expressions, their movements are unnecessary. They are trying to play on your emotions. Pay attention and understand. Emotional people are speaking with their biases. Do not get caught up in the emotions. If you get caught up in emotions, you are not listening. Listening is emotionless. It is emotionless. It is a quiet mind that hears. A quiet mind hears. And when you listen with a quiet mind, you become spiritual in nature. You become spiritual in nature because when you grasp what a person is telling you, that is a spiritual act. Do not judge what people are saying. That is emotional. Do not judge when people are speaking to you because you can't understand if you are judging. Understanding is not multitasking. You have to give your complete attention to what that person is saying. And nowadays, you have to practice listening because television has ruined people's ability to listen because there is normally too much emotionalism going on. And then what they do on TV, they will give you one fact and everything else that they add to that fact is to mislead you. You can never understand a person based on one situation. You understand a person's character by looking at the numerical amount of things that they do so that you can add it up. You can't add 1 plus nothing. And TV does that. They give you one incident and they want you to make a character judgment based on one incident. Everything else they tell you is speculation. It's speculation designed to control your emotions and move your intellect, your ability to recognize truth, which is common sense and is God-given, out of the picture. And they want to feed on your emotionalism. You have to practice being a non-emotional listener to understand. Let me give you an example of a situation that I was into yesterday. I was walking with my friends. We were crossing the street, heading toward the path. A car was coming through the park. He was going too fast, but he stopped in time. He rolled down his window and apologized. One of the people walking with us stated, "He's driving too fast. He should pay more attention to what he is doing." Another person in our group said, "Well, he apologized, so let it go. The person who said he was driving too fast was not holding on to anything. They made a statement which was true. They weren't holding on. To say that they were holding on is subjective. The person was listening with a bias, listening emotionally. They came to a judgment they judged her on what she said and did not understand what she was saying. Then, of course, she responded to defend what she said. But she wasn't defending what she said. She was defending herself against their judgment. I interceded and I said that she only said he was driving too fast, which was correct. You are also correct in that, yes, he did apologize. So it is up to you to decide whether or not to let it go. You should let it go after the apology, but it is your choice whether or not you want to accept that apology or not. At the end of the day, whether you accept the apology or not doesn't make any difference because the incident is over. To carry on the conversation is to continue an incident that is over. They were both correct, but a debate was getting ready to start because there was no understanding. See, when you listen with understanding, then there is no reason to debate. Because when you hear what's being said, the conversation ends in the moment. Be careful when you watch TV because they will give you one situation and then they will add to that situation based on what they think your biases are. And if you are liberal, you can get sucked into overt liberalism. And when I say overt liberalism, I'm talking about things like, take for example, homosexuality, which is sexual perversion. Well, the liberals changed perverted homosexual behavior, and they called it gay. Gay has nothing to do with being a homosexual. The word is being used out of context. Then they gave them a multicolored flag, which has nothing to do with sexual perversion. Notice how they are swaying the narration away from the reality of sexual perversion. Then they make it into a civil rights issue. It is not a civil right issue. It is sexual perversion and a person's desires. Now, is that desire within the realms of nature? You answer that. I'm not going to tell you what to think. Then they took it sexual perversion, homosexuality. Then they turned it into transsexualism. And when they did that, they added homosexuality to feminism. Homosexuality has nothing to do with feminism, but they threw it in there. And then they gave you pronouns instead of nouns. And they tell you that now they have taken sexual perversion and created two types of women. Two types of women. And they call real women created by God, they call them baby carriers. Real women find that offensive because all women are baby carriers or developers, whichever you want to use. But they do this so that they can make transvestites into a type of woman. And then they tell a man, you should not ask a woman whether she is a transvestite or a baby carrier because it is her personal business. And if you do that, you are attacking her civil rights. Be a listener. Learn to listen and understand, and you do not fall prey to the illusions created by one truth, by one fact. This is how Satan works his game. With that, like and subscribe, and have a great day if you believe in truth. But understand this, you must understand your biases. You must understand who you are to become an effective listener, one who understands what they are hearing. And sometimes you will have to listen to nonsense to be sure that it is nonsense. And you do this by listening to understand. Understanding should always precede your coming to a conclusion. Like and subscribe. Have a great day. If it's something you don't understand that I said, then leave it in the comment and I will explain. Peace.